but the storm itself is sliding off in a northeasterly direction. Joy, we thought that these storms might pulse a little bit, and that's exactly what we've seen with these storms. They kind of went down in intensity. And then, of course, the caveat was we could be back on the air shortly. That's exactly what happened. We were off the air for about 8 minutes until they reissued the severe thunderstorm warning.
Right. Now, I swore, as soon as I started the Facebook Live, I saw maybe a little tight circulation. It didn't look like too much, but looked, like something was trying to form. And of course, that's when we saw the tornado warning be issued by the National Weather Service. I've also seen some radar potentially indicated gusts, severe thunderstorm wind gusts up to about 60 miles per hour. This is in and around the Broken Arrow area. So north of Broken Arrow, we could see about 62 miles per hour, potentially even higher, near 70 miles per hour. And that's originally what the severe thunderstorm warning for Broken Arrow is going for. So keep that in mind. Although you may be just outside of that tornado warning, likely 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts will be possible in your area too. I want to show you kind of the leading edge where we have this tornado warning, maybe a circulation just south of the Haskell area heading up northeast towards Porter. We can vaguely see that here on velocity. It doesn't look as organized as maybe what we saw just about 5 minutes ago, but pay attention to this here, where we have this line of storms from Haskell, just east of Okmulgee, near Morris, just east of Morris, essentially. I'm going to show velocity, and this kind of shows gusty winds out ahead of that storm. So this is what we're dealing with too, not only the potential for the tornado aspect of things, but also for damaging wind gusts. And we can see estimated down south of Haskell, potentially 65 to 70 miles per hour, maybe even more than that. So keep in mind that our wind threat hasn't died off just yet. We are seeing this warning for about 50 miles per hour as this system moves through for the tornado warning near Haskell, but this entire line is actually moving at about 70 miles per hour. So it's moving very quickly. If you are in Broken Arrow, Coweta, Haskell, Porter, Wagoner, near Inola, you want to head to your safe space immediately, as the system will be near you very quickly. Within 15 to 20 minutes, you're sitting there trying to gather things up. It may be too late for you. So if you're under the severe thunderstorm warning, move away from windows and doors. If you are under this tornado warning, you want to run to your safe space now, whether that's in an interior closet, near a tub. If you have a basement, all of those areas would suffice for this tornado warning.
The tornado warning goes until 11:30, and again, radar indicating still very strong winds, 50-mile-an-hour winds, certainly very, very possible. There's a hit of a 63-mile-an-hour wind, radar indicated. East of Broken Arrow, northwest Muskogee, movements to the north-northeast, headed up towards the Wagoner area. If you live in that area, you need to be taking immediate tornado precautions. And you're not going to be there long. This thing is moving so quick. You're going to be in the Frady hole for about another 20 minutes or so, and then after that, the storms will lift off to the east-northeast. But please, please be very careful. We'll clear the screen here, and we'll take off some of this stuff, and you can get a better view of the storms themselves and some of the real estate, kind of give you an idea of what we're talking about. From Catoosa, just east of Broken Arrow, that extends just to the west of the Muskogee area, and the movement's going to be pushing that towards Wagoner and Muskogee. It's east of Okmulgee, but down towards Highway 75 and 40. Of course, that is beautiful Henrietta there. The stronger part of the thunderstorms are off in east-northeasterly direction. So that's what we have. You're technically under a severe thunderstorm warning. That'll be moving away from Henrietta as it slides off to the east. McIntosh County, you're under the severe thunderstorm warning. Even though storms are not there yet, it's a preemptive strike for this squall line that'll be sliding off to the east. So it's still just to the west of Highway 69, sliding off in an easterly direction. That is a severe thunderstorm. We're going to have those for the next hour or so. This tornado warning, I do believe that they'll be watching that. That's why they didn't issue the thing for an hour and 15 minutes. They only issued it for about 30 minutes time as that slides off to the east. So they have seen some signs, possibility for some rotation in the storm system. So they went ahead and pulled the plug on an active tornado warning. So we want folks in this area to be very, very careful and safe. We're watching velocity. We're looking at helicity on the storm system itself to see the potential for the storm. and it'll be moving away from the Tulsa area very, very soon, but still up to the north. This large polygon, this big weird yellow box represents that. It covers a lot of real estate. It goes all the way from Eufaula up towards Veneta, and that storm is sliding off to the east. Next stop, of course, will be Delaware and Adair County and the eastern sides of Cherokee County and western sides of Sequoia County. So then after that, it'll be moving up into Arkansas. We'll go up to the north before we check back in with Joy and show you that storm that is active in southern parts of Kansas. And that storm has made very little movement. I mean, it is a very slow mover across southern parts of Kansas. We'll look at that over the last 30 minutes to show and make it wiggle, and you can see the movement northeasterly. Still hadn't quite made its way into Sedan, at least the heaviest activity. It's mainly going to be in the northern part of Chautauqua County and areas up to the north, headed up to the northeast towards Chanute and eventually over towards Parsons. So less severe, less intense in southern parts of Kansas, much stronger further down to the south. So again, storm's not completely over, but we're not seeing nearly as many tornado warnings as we had, an hour ago. But still, that active one warning, and Joy, by my calculation, in effect for about 14 more minutes south and southeast of the Tulsa area. What do you have?
Yes, so we are actually watching the new severe thunderstorm warning that was issued. It's for multiple counties, and it goes until midnight. This system is moving about northeast at 60 miles per hour. And let me back out to show you. This does include locations near Claremore, Tahlequah, Muskogee. Some of the counties included are Craig, Rogers, McIntosh, Mays, Wagoner, Cherokee, Okmulgee, and Muskogee. So all of those counties are included in this kind of big yellow box for this new severe thunderstorm warning, as the line that kind of initiated that tornado warning is starting to bow out, indicating the potential for 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. It is moving very quickly. I will put a track on this, although this will kind of go across much of the window of my screen. Well, here, we'll do this now. It's moving very quickly, about east at 60 miles per hour. So this is going to be a fast mover out to the east. 60. So if you live near Wainwright, 1120, that's only 3 minutes from now. Taft, 1123. Shakota, 1124. Inola, 1125. Summit, 1129. Muskogee, 1131. This storm is moving very quickly to the east at about 60 miles per hour. Could pack with it 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and it goes all the way from just east of Owasso near Claremore, currently down to Catoosa, east of Broken Arrow, east of Okmulgee, and heading on towards Shakota. It's just east of Henrietta as well. Let's take a look to see if anything has really happened within the tornado warning, if we can better see some velocity. And you can kind of see some rotation just north and east of Haskell and west of Porter. Get a little bit of a look there, not so much. So there is a slight circulation. It makes sense why they are keeping this tornado warning until 11:30 p.m. Makes sense. But this is what we've been talking about, these quick spin-ups that may occur along the line of storms. These are brief usually. They don't last for very long. If they do make it all the way to the ground, they don't do too much damage. But right now, that's why Coweta, Porter, and Wagoner are under this tornado warning until 11:30 p.m. And then just out ahead of it for the main line of storms until midnight for areas near Pryor, down to Muskogee, and east of Okmulgee. This is north of Eufaula. Also, a severe thunderstorm warning remains for McAllister. Let's switch our sites here to take a better peek at that. This is for 11:30 p.m., including Savannah, Kiowa, and Hartshorn. Remember, this is the severe thunderstorm warning that was producing a lot of hail near the Ada area and now has weakened somewhat, but may produce about 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. These are the only warnings we have in effect at the moment, the one near McAllister, the big warning from Veneta down to Stigler, and then that's it. We have that tornado warning as well. So 3 whole warnings within green country, and likely these warnings will continue at least for the next 15 to, if not 45 minutes. We'll be keeping an eye on these. Haven't seen any wind reports yet for green country, but we've been getting a lot of reports just outside of the area for power lines down. So likely this may occur in your area as well. keep in mind, if you don't have anything charged and you still have power, if you can, charge everything up while you can, because you may lose power too if you run into some of these severe thunderstorm wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour, if not 80. Again, if you remember, we had that report of 80 miles per hour in Bridgeport. So that's what we're seeing right now at this time.
All right, Joy, thank you so much. We get video in from our storm spotters as well as their live stream. This was sent in by David Ballou. And again, you can see very heavy rainfall coming down with accompanied by 40 to 50 mile an hour winds, very poor visibility, a lot of hydroplane going on there at the QT. We'll get David on the phone here shortly and check in with him. Appreciate him so much and all of our amazing storm chasers who've been out and about. Also, when we get Sam back up, let me know and we'll check back in with Sam. That's the warning. That's why we're still on the air. It's in effect for another 9 minutes. They've modified it in that they've lopped off some of the areas where the storm has passed through. But the storm itself will continue to race off to the east-northeast. Same thing with this large area that we keep talking about. That's a severe thunderstorm warning, and that is still in effect. And they'll do that ahead of the storm system itself to make sure everybody has a heads up, at least of what's going on. So their phone will go off with the latest on the warnings as the storm approaches the Tahlequah area, eventually up towards Grove and Jay. Be aware of that storm system as it moves through. Gusty winds, lightning, and hail. Now, once the storm moves through, you're going to have some leftovers, okay? You're going to have a little bit in the way of some light rain. Winds will be strong, but not but there'll still be some drizzle, but it's not going to redevelop. There won't be additional development further out to the west. Once the heavy-duty stuff passes you, you're fine. You can go on back to bed and get a little bit of sleep before you get up for Monday morning work. But these thunderstorms, again, prompted that tornado warning, and we want everyone to take that serious. What they've done now is you'll look at the southern edge, right? There. They dropped off parts of Muskogee County. So Muskogee County no longer included in that active tornado warning. Goes in effect for another 8 minutes or so. So they're trimming that thing. It was in Okmulgee County. They dropped that. It was extreme southeastern parts of Tulsa County. They lopped that off, and now they've dropped off parts of Muskogee County. Still in effect, but that's Wagoner County, and the storms are moving up north-northeast. The storms in southern parts of Kansas are still ongoing. That storm is much weaker. No tornado warnings in effect there. That's the last little gasp of the storm system. And like we saw earlier, this thing may pulse. It may kind of go down. We kind of take a deep breath, and then it fires back up again. So until this sucker's in Arkansas, we've got to watch it closely, and I promise you we will. We'll get off the air as soon as the tornado warning is no longer in effect for the area. We needed some moisture, so this is going to provide us with a little bit of water in some of the farm ponds. That certainly is good news. The rain will be completely out of here by tomorrow morning with buds on the air, so we're not going to have to deal with much in the way of hydroplaning and things of that nature. That certainly is good. Trying to find some positive here for you folks. The temperatures are above freezing, so we're not looking at sleet or glazing of ice on the roadways. We will have some cleanup to do. I have no doubt about that. In fact, some folks don't even know how bad some of the tree damage is until morning light. Then we'll find out a little bit more about that. But we got about 6 more minutes, and hopefully we'll see that tornado warning drop. But the good news is it's shrinking down, and the storm system overall has been weakening. Let's check back in with Joy. Joy, more rain coming back into Tulsa from the southwest, but it's just leftover drizzle. So the heavy-duty stuff is still southeast of town.
Yes, exactly. Essentially, if you are in the Tulsa metro, you are free and clear. You'll likely see these scattered light showers continue maybe for a few more hours. And with that being said, you're out of the clear. However, there has been kind of an update to this tornado warning.
New warning. Now it goes until midnight.
It goes until midnight now, and so this has been extended for that same system, including now Rogers, Mays, and Wagoner County, as the storm continues to move northeast at about 50 miles per hour. National Weather Service decided to kind of extend out this tornado warning due to circulation. It looks like that circulation will be increasing. So let's take a look. It looks like this circulation now near just south and east of Coweta. You can kind of see the difference within the blues and the greens, if you will. You can kind of see a little bit of circulation there. So now we will be at least on the air through midnight, watching this storm in particular, as well as others across the viewing area. But likely, yes, we will continue on. So they are seeing that tornado warning. They said rotation increased near the Redbird area and reports of power flashes in that area. So No confirmation or ground truthing yet of this thing on the ground at this time. As of right now, it is simply radar indicated, and we can see a little bit of rotation just south and east of Coweta. This will likely be heading just west of Wagoner and near Maisie, as well as near Inola. Let's put a track on this, as it now is taking more of a northeasterly approach. Again, it's moving pretty quickly southeast at about 50 miles per hour. Good news is, though, the severe thunderstorm warning for Latimer, Pittsburgh, and Pushmataha has been canceled. So you are in the free and clear. You'll likely just be dealing with heavy rain and gusty winds up to 40 miles per hour as the system continues to move to the north and east. So let's do a track here. Do it on the system. It's moving northeast rather quickly. I'll take it out as far as I can go on my monitor. Near Shoto by 1142, Locust Grove 1155, Salina 1158, Spavinaw 1209, and near Disney by 1215. So if you heard your town name called, or you said, hey, I live right next to this town, you want to get into your safe space immediately. This is heading your way. It may be about a half hour from now, but still, it's better to be in your safe place. Maybe either watching on our live stream. Of course, our coverage is live stream as well on your phone. Maybe you have a TV in your safe place, just so you don't have to hurry up and rush to get there at that time. So keep in mind that this tornado warning has been extended now for this storm near Wagoner for a potential tornado until midnight. So we'll be on the air covering that at this time. Severe thunderstorms remain from just near Veneta all the way down into Muskogee, near Shakota. That's for this line of storms, likely producing winds up to 70 miles per hour. It's near our radar in Inola, so we're not getting the best picture at the moment, but as soon as it moves to the east, we'll be able to sample that storm a little bit better and to be able to see what's going on. Of course, radars can affect our imagery at times. But yes, the light rain that Dan was mentioning near Tulsa, Hominy, Bartlesville, east of Ponca City, down to Bristow, Okemah, and Holdenville. That's just light rain. It'll stick with you for maybe an hour and we'll move on. We're not seeing any more storms redevelop, so that's great news. Once this line that's warned at the moment moves on out of your town, you are free and clear for the rest of the evening. Now, these storms will continue to push very quickly southeast at about 60 miles per hour, and so they'll move pretty quickly. That's why you want to get to your safe place in a hurry. No ground truthing yet for this storm, but we'll be on the air, of course, to let you know if we do see anything happen.
Monitor the feeds from our storm chasers who are still out and about, as well as Ranger 8. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. We've got one of our storm spotters on the phone. Who do we have, and what's your location?
Yes, Dan, this is David Gady. I'm currently on the Creek Turnpike, just north of Coweta, watching this storm as it races off to the northeast, just east of here, and it's going to be getting on Highway 412 and try to intercept that. But everybody needs to be aware there's not a lot of lightning in this storm, and so it's very, very dangerous. Don't try to go outside and look for it.
Yeah, don't try to be a hero out there. David, doesn't look like there's much traffic. That certainly is good news. Have you heard any reports of any down power lines, folks that have lost power? Have you seen any of that?
I have not, Dan. I'm watching real close just off to my east where that rotation is for power flashes. That's what we usually look for at night, but have not noticed any yet.
Okay, it's David Gady Sr. He's been out and we're monitoring your feed, as well as our other storm chasers who are out and about. David, thank you for being out still at this very late hour. The tornado warning is scheduled to go up until midnight. I doubt that it will. Hopefully they'll pull the plug early if that storm circulation continues to weaken. The initial warning that we had in effect for that area, that is going to be expiring, so we'll be down to one box in the same general area. Squall line developing. That's further down to the south of Broken Arrow. It's sliding off to the east. Storms are approaching Muskogee. If you live in the Muskogee area, you're going to have a pretty good gusty wind, lightning, and some hail. You're not technically included in the active tornado warning. That's just up to your north, and that certainly is good news. We'll stop the rotation. We'll stop the cycling here, and so you can kind of get a better idea of what's going on. And that is the storm system itself right now, just to the west of Wagoner. and it's sliding off to the northeast at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. That extends further down to the south, just to the east of Porter, just to the west of Tallahassee, east of Taft, west of Muskogee, west of Summit, west of Wainwright. It's past the Boynton area right now and extends all the way down to the south. So that is the southern edge of that particular part of the storm. It picks up a little bit, but it's not severe south of the Eufaula area. But right now, the main concern that's keeping us on the air is this area right here, east of Broken Arrow. Wagoner, again, you're still included in the tornado warning. Stay in that safe place at least for another 30 minutes. I know sometimes you get storm fatigue. You're like, really? Are you kidding? This thing's still going on? Well, it is, and at any time this thing could set down a tornado all the way up towards Inola. Radar gets attenuated a little bit when you throw a big wet blanket on top of the radar, and that's that protective round golf ball thing that protects the radar. When you have rain that comes over that, it kind of kills the signal. So once the storm system moves away from that, the attenuation will start to wane, and we may pick up a signal here a little bit stronger further as the night progresses. Further up to the north, severe thunderstorm warning ongoing across the eastern parts of the Rogers County area. From the Blue Whale extending all the way down towards 44, that's severe but not tornadic. The tornadic stuff really starts up around I-44. In through parts of Rogers County and then further down to the south. Again, heading up towards Pryor. If you live in Pryor, you're technically included in the tornado warning. Strong stuff is not there yet, but it will be here in the next 15, 20 minutes. Don't wait on that. Go ahead and take the family and move off to the east. For Tulsa, some rain coming in the southwest sides of the town. Not a big thing at all. And the storms that have been up to the north, these things have just not moved very much at all, and they're still going on in Chautauqua. That'll be pushing into parts of Montgomery County. Let's check back in with Joy. Joy, these storms have been persistent, if anything, cycling through strong and then not quite as strong, and I think that's going to continue.
Yeah, I think that'll continue as well. You know, I remember following this storm event today, just a couple of days ago, and we were curious, will we have enough moisture to get some of these storms? What about the wind speeds? A little bit of instability to tap into. And well, we've actually been able to tap into all of those measures as we've had these dew points kind of hike up to about 60 degrees right before the storms hit. We had that narrow window of instability as the front is moving through to tap in. A lot of wind shear. A lot of high winds just above the ground surface and even winds at the surface between 30 to 50 miles per hour. So that's why we're seeing that severe event continue into green country. Thankfully, it hasn't been as severe. We haven't had that many reports, but of course, we want to take this seriously. Now, just outside of our viewing area, there have been reports of power lines down, and it looks like trees on them that are starting a fire. So keep that in mind. If you have power lines down, maybe a tree falls down, stay away from that. You can call your utility company or call 911 if you see something go on fire. Of course, do not go into that. We're going to go back to this severe thunderstorm warning that Dan mentioned that's really just been sitting over southern portions of Kansas. It's in effect till midnight, including Independence, Coffeyville, Sedan. Chanute, you are not in the warning, but likely if the storm continues to inch eastward, we'll see Parsons included in the warning as well. Likely this storm will be for 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. You can see even that notch with a little bit of lightning. That's just west of Chanute. So if you're in that area, keep in mind that's heading your way. Still have this big severe thunderstorm warning from Veneta down to Muskogee. It goes until midnight, and that is encompassing this main line of strong to severe storms, including those damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. Now, this line is moving very fast to the east at 60 miles per hour. So Tahlequah, if this remains severe, you'll likely be included in the next round of warnings that get issued downstream. Of course, we're still seeing this tornado warning in effect that goes until midnight. We got a new sampling of data. Notice as the storms kind of shifted north and east. Shodo, it looks like it's getting closer to you. Still moving past the radar. I think a couple more scans will be able to take just a little bit closer of a look. Now, we did see this circulation just north and west of Wagoner. It's not a very tight circulation, but it is indicative of, okay, winds are moving in a circular fashion up above. We also are seeing this kind of strong winds out ahead of the main lines of storms. There were even winds gusting up to about 40 to 50 miles per hour out ahead of the storms in northwest Arkansas. So keep in mind near the Fort Gibson area, near OK, near Braggs, you're likely going to see winds potentially between 50 to 70 miles per hour. And that's radar estimated with the light blue colors. That can sometimes tell you, okay, we are expecting some of those gustier winds. Good news is we've kind of dropped some counties for the tornado watch. The National Weather Service did this. If you are under a yellow county, you are still under a tornado watch until 1 a.m. Note that it does not include LaFleur County. It does not include at this time northwest Arkansas. If the National Weather Service office feels the need to continue to issue those, or the Storm Prediction Center continue to add those counties in, they'll likely do so. But west, Ponca City down to Chandler, and even down south and west, you are in the clear from the tornado watch at this time.
Jeff Robbins joins us now. Jeff has been tracking the storms as they make their way from the southwest to the east and to the northeast. So let's join him now. Jeff, what's the latest that you're getting? We're watching your feed now on Weather 2. Give us an update on what you can see.
Hey, Dan, I'm currently heading up north on Highway 69 to Shoto from Wagner. Recently, I just had about 40, 50 mile an hour winds with rain. The rain, you can really see through it. So there's not much lightning in the storm, so it is kind of hard to get any structure to see where the rotation actually is visually.
You know, lightning becomes kind of our flash bulb, if you will, if you're shooting shots at night. And if you're out in a rural area, you've got to wait on those lightning strikes. And you're right, Jeff. We just haven't seen a lot, at least over the last 30 minutes or so. But that storm, have you seen any flooding or heard any storm sirens? We saw a little cloud-to-ground lightning there on the horizon.
Yeah, there is some ponding on the roadways, which I'm trying to avoid right now. But as far as sirens, I haven't heard any.
All right. Appreciate you being out there at this very late hour. Jeff Robbins, monitoring his feed and watching closely what's going on with the storms as they continue to cycle up to the east-northeast. Kind of to recap things, we had the tornado warning that was to expire at 11:30. They popped a brand new one on. They're still seeing some circulation. That storm is still sliding off to the east. The good news is they're very attentive in that they're chopping off the western edge of that storm as it makes its way in a northeasterly direction. Right now, the most serious part of the storm is in the Wagner County area. It's moving up in the southern parts of Mays County. It's sliding off to the east-northeast. We're going to be running out of real estate soon, boys, as the storm makes its way out of Oklahoma and clips northwest Arkansas and southwest parts of Missouri. We will be watching that, and then the meteorologist over in their television coverage will pick up the storm coverage as it slides off in a northeasterly direction. Areas off to the west, yeah, you got some light rain, but for the most part, that storm system is over. Storm up to the north. We're not forgetting about you in southern Kansas in our viewing area. That storm is severe. It's not moving very fast. It's moving more northeasterly. And again, it's still very, very dangerous. Severe thunderstorm warning for Wilson County. Again, that severe thunderstorm warning, that'll be going until midnight. And the same thing for our folks that live in Montgomery County. Storm is in Chautauqua now, but it's sliding off to the east. And again, packing a pretty good punch. The slow movement, I would not be surprised on the Kansas mesonet if we get some heavier rainfall amounts. We'll report those for tomorrow. And the thunderstorm warnings ongoing. Areas to the south, not nearly as strong. Southern parts of the Pittsburgh County area under a severe. They popped that, and it looks like they allowed that to expire. So it went up rather quickly, Joy, and then it kind of pulled the plug on the southern part of that storm. But still our tornado warning that in effect for about another 20 minutes or so as it slides off to the north and to the northeast. But some gusty winds, lightning, and the possibility for some flooding. Joy, give us another update. What have you been able to find out in the last couple of minutes?
Yes, we're going to look at winds. There was a report that just came in out of Porter and Wagner County of winds to about 56 miles per hour. So we're seeing those gusty winds come in. These are sustained winds across the metro right now, and they are breezy. Jenks sitting at a south wind of 28 miles per hour. Claremore 21, Bartlesville 22, Skytook at 21 miles per hour. These are all out of either the south, southeast, or southwesterly direction that's bringing in that warmer air and moisture for these storms to continue to feed on as they track east. So we haven't seen winds shift to the north. We're not seeing that cold air being brought in. These are the highest wind gusts in the metro so far for the day. 48 miles per hour in Jinx, 39 in Tulsa at the airport, 36 in Claremore, 54 in Bartlesville, Skiatook sitting at about 22. And so far across the area, from what I could find at this time, of course, we'll continue to update this throughout the night and especially for tomorrow morning. Bridgeport came in on top, 80 miles per hour. Clinton at 77. Chickasha had 71 mile per hour wind gusts, Tipton 69, and Walters at about 60. I've seen a lot of 60s, a couple of 70s. Haven't seen too many 80s, though. I believe this is the only report I've seen so far out of Bridgeport that was around 80 miles per hour. These are maximum wind gusts for the day across the state. Notice as you head towards the Panhandle, these are where the storms actually got going later this afternoon through the early evening hours, 67 mile per hour wind gusts. Thankfully, they slowed back just a tad. Southwestern corner, 78, 75 as well near the Lawton area, about 50s and 60s. Towards OKC, you have 60 mile per hour wind gusts on the back to the northwestern edge, but around 40s and 50s as you head towards southeast. And around the Tulsa metro, as we mentioned, likely around 30 to 40. McAllister sitting just about 55 mile per hour wind gusts out to the east as well. We're looking at radar and we're still tracking these storms as they are moving east. Some are moving fast. This line segment here where you see that larger severe thunderstorm warning is moving east at about 50 to 60 miles per hour, but the bulk of these storms, especially near that tornado warning, are moving a bit slower, about 30 to 40. The severe thunderstorm warning that does include Montgomery County and Kansas goes until midnight. This one is not moving very fast at all. We've been watching the storm as well. It's just kind of stayed in its location for some time. It looks like the northern edge of the storm heading towards Chanute may be moving a bit faster and bowing out some. We see a little bit of lightning in this area as well, and that may indicate we're starting to see potentially damaging wind gusts in this area compared to farther south as you head towards Sedan into Independence. A severe thunderstorm warning that includes Mays County from Veneta all the way down to Muskogee goes until midnight as well. 470 mile per hour wind gusts. I still haven't seen any reports. I've been checking the chat, making sure I'm not missing anything, and we really haven't had any ground truthing with this line of storms. On radar, it looks impressive, potentially 60 to 70, maybe on the high side 80, but we just have not had that reach the surface at this time. Dan, what are you seeing?
Did you just make a word, ground truthing?
I might have.
Yes. It's late. We appreciate you, Joy. You've done an amazing job for today. Our James McMullen, he's burned a few miles. James, an update on your location. I am watching your live stream right now. I think I know where that's at. Give me an update on what we're seeing.
Yeah, Dan, right now I am getting onto I-44 off of Highway 75, working my way back towards the Coweta area, back that way towards that storm.
Very good.
Try and get a visual, see if there's any damage or anything like that.
Okay, not seeing much in the way of lightning as you do the loop there, and but I'm not seeing a lot of lightning. Most of that's off to your east.
Correct. Yeah, it's back off to the east, and I'm not seeing a whole lot of lightning with it as well.
Okay, appreciate you, James. What time did you start chasing this afternoon, just out of curiosity? You've been out a long time.
I started about 3 o'clock.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Thanks for being out there, James. Appreciate that very, very much. You're doing an amazing job. James McMullen, who is just an amazing storm chaser, watching these storms. Tornado warning continues to shrink. In fact, Joy, did you notice they've lopped off now Wagner County? It's not too much, it's not too big right now, and it's still shrinking. Right now, we've got a tornado warning for the southwest sides of Mays County. It does include Pryor, but they keep shrinking this thing. It's scheduled to go until midnight. That's about another 18 minutes or so. I think they'll let it go until midnight. I don't believe they'll pull the plug on it. Still some active, quite a few areas under severe thunderstorm warning, but it's much, much smaller. And again, scheduled to go until midnight for Mays County. So we shall see on that. Areas up to the north, as you described, Joy. That's still a stout little storm up there. Anytime we see a separation in the storms, what we sometimes look at, when I was a storm chaser many years ago and otherwise, is there is clear, free air here. It's kind of uncorrupted other than a little bit of light rain there. So sometimes that northern storm, if there's a break in the storm, sometimes there's just enough inflow. We could see the northern storm. Not certainly hoping that happens, but it'll be certainly worth watching. Joy, and then down to the south. Veneta, you're the northern edge of that severe thunderstorm warning that runs. That's a lot of real estate from Veneta all the way down to I-40. In Tahlequah, just kind of hunker down. You're not under a tornado warning, but a severe thunderstorm is just out to your west, and that'll be moving in. It's already past Wagoner, so you know it doesn't take too long, especially the storm, Joy, that's moving at about 40 miles an hour. There's not a lot of miles between Wagoner and Tahlequah, so they are going to have some gusty winds.
Yeah, likely they'll see those gusty winds within 15 to maybe 20 miles per hour. I did want to mention the sirens are currently sounding in Muskogee, not for a tornadic potential, but for wind speeds. Each county and town is different on how they sound their sirens. Some may sound sirens for 60, 70, or 80 mile per hour wind gusts. Some towns or counties may sound their sirens for just tornado warnings. So if you hear your siren and you are not under a tornado warning, still treat it as such, because likely these winds can do just as much of damage.
And there's not
more.
a standard, so every county and individual city can blow the horn. Sometimes it's an all clear. Sometimes it's a flood warning. Get with your county emergency management, and they'll let you know what the different signals mean, whether or not it's a long, continuous one, whether or not it's a pulse or that. But sometimes there may not be an official tornado warning, but they'll blow the horns for a severe thunderstorm to let people know, hey, some strong storms are coming in. Did a storm projection, Joy, on that leading edge of that squall line. It's up on Weather 2, arriving in around Hulbert in about 6 minutes, NSU in about 24 minutes, Tahlequah in 24, Watts by about 56. So again, as that storm slides off to the east, that's the estimated time of arrival. Not a tornado, but I did a projection based on this line that extends south of the tornado warning. So if you live in those areas, kind of an idea of what you can expect and when as the storm makes its way through the area. It's a stout little storm. It's going to produce some heavy winds and lightning. And we haven't had a lot in the way of tornado damage, thank the Lord for that. But we're going to have some wind damage, and we'll find out the full extent of that for tomorrow. So, as I mentioned earlier, if there's down power lines, keep the kids away from that. Don't you be a hero and try to clear that out. You call the public utility. Those folks are the expert. They know how to approach that, and they need to know about it as well. So, if there's a down power line, just stay away from it and keep the kids away from that, because kids are kids and they want to see what's going on. That sparky wire may look interesting to them, but it can kill them. So please remind them of that. Joy?
Yeah, so we were talking about kind of having the energy and the moisture to really tap into for these storms. If we look at current temperatures right now, temperatures are still in the 50s and 60s. We're not expecting this profound cool down coming into tonight till tomorrow. Winds are still going to be out of the south for the most part. There's not that much cool air coming in behind that cold front. Now, also, we talked about dew points for days. My big question was, are we going to be able to find the moisture needed to really get these storms going and to sustain them? And we still have that moisture out there. We're seeing 60-degree dew points in Bartlesville, Coffeyville, Veneta, Miami, 61 even in Claremore. A little bit less as you head into Muskogee and Stigler, but all you really need is a dew point of 55 to really get storms going and can kind of maintain them. So that's why we're not seeing them fizzle out. There's likely, we will see the dry line move through, and that's why dew points are down near 42 degrees in Chandler. But likely there is still enough moisture to continue these storms, and that's why, thankfully, we were able to see them. It looks like they were able to cancel some of the tornado warning, actually all of the tornado warning near Mays. They have not extended it out, so we do not have a tornado warning anymore. The only warning we have in Green Country is the severe thunderstorm warning that goes until midnight. 470 mile per hour wind gusts moving very quickly to the south or to the east and north at about 50 to 55 miles per hour.
So that certainly is good news. As promised, as soon as the tornado warnings have expired, that will discontinue coverage. Does not mean that Joy and I will not be here. We'll be watching it, and if anything fires up again, and it could, We'll be back on the air. We still have the tornado watch. It goes until 1 o'clock in the morning. So thanks. You did a great job for tonight.
Thank you, Dan.
Our
Thanks for
storm
your help.
chaser still out. We appreciate that. Our production folks, amazing job, guys. All right. At this time, we'll take you back to regular programming. Keep it right here on News Channel 8. We will keep you safe.